since 2000, you've taken home more than $480 million. That's almost $500 million. Basically, didn't you take home around $400 to $500 million?
The 500 number is not accurate. I would say to you that although it's still a large number, I think for the years that you're talking about here, I believe my cash compensation was close to $60 million, which you have indicated here. And I believe the amount that I took out of the company over and above that was, I believe, a little bit less than $250 million.
A $200 million discrepancy? Well, former Lehman Associate General Counsel Oliver Budde says Dick Fuld understated his pay by at least that much while testifying at that congressional hearing you just saw. This wasn't the first time Budde had been concerned over Lehman's compensation practices, but he considered this misrepresentation so, quote, disgraceful that he decided to blow the whistle and report it to the SEC. Oliver Budde shared his exclusive story with Bloomberg Businessweek, and he's here with us right now. Oliver, let's get this straight. You're saying Dick Fuld lied under oath in Congress, testifying in that hearing chaired by Henry Waxman.
I hesitate to use the word lie. I'm just saying the facts are different than the facts stated by Mr. Fuld. You can go and add up the numbers yourself. They're in the proxy statement. They're in the Section 16 filings. When you just do the math for those years, you come up with $529 million. Okay,
I just want to jump in here for a moment, because when you do the math, it's easy to say, sometimes not so easy to do. Some of these SEC filings are a little bit Byzantine. I'm quite familiar with them myself. Would it be easy for somebody who wasn't an associate general counsel at Lehman Brothers to go and effectively do the math like you say?
You know, I guess it depends on how you define easy. I think most college graduates could easily, pull up the documents, put the numbers together.
Although you said, I mean, you worked on some of these documents, and you said you had to go through 3 times.
Well, that was with respect to the 2008 proxy. That's a separate subject. It's also discussed in the article, but we're now talking about the testimony to Waxman.
All right. Well, with that in mind, I mean, it seems like Goldman is treading, or rather, Lehman treading on this kind of gray area. And we talked about the difference between being in a gray area and being illegal. You're saying what they did was illegal.
In the proxy statement, I'm saying that they didn't comply with the new rule requirements. The 2008 proxy for Lehman, which was the one and only that they prepared under these new rules, required this table, and you show all outstanding unvested RSUs. At the time, Mr. Fuld had 15 separate tranches of RSUs. Only 2 of them made it into the chart. And the reason for that is that they built in this assumption where they basically assumed away over $250 million worth of Mr. Fuld's RSUs. I think somebody should ask, why would they do that?
Oliver, one of the more interesting things that you explained to Jim Sterngold, our colleague at Bloomberg Businessweek, is how Dick Fuld's claim that he lost everything in Lehman's bankruptcy really flies in the face of the fact that you dug up, correct?
Yes, and as the article points out, there's a study that came out of Harvard, Lucian Bebchuk and his colleagues. Basically, we come to the same conclusion. He took out a hell of a lot of money, yes. And it's true that he nominally had a hell of a lot more in the form of restricted stock, and yes, that went away. There were exercisable options that also went away. But it doesn't change the fact that he pulled out over $500 million worth of cash over the life of Lehman. 529 for the Waxman was talking about 2000, 2007. That was 530. If you go back to 94, obviously it's that much more, about 540, 545, I believe.
And you also say around the time of Lehman's failure that Fuld was able to touch money that normally an employee cannot have access to unless he or she dies.
That's not my statement. That's from the Valukas report. He pointed out that Mr. Fuld and his colleague Joe Gregory apparently were having liquidity problems, notwithstanding having taken out over $500 million. He apparently was desperate for another $3 or $4 million, and so they cashed him out of these investment partnerships that accredited investors can invest in. I happen to be in a couple of them myself. No one offered me the opportunity to get out, but apparently they did.
We've got about 30 seconds left, Oliver. Why do you think other people weren't as disgusted as you were by these kinds of practices?
I honestly don't know. First of all, I don't even understand why Waxman's staff, they had spent the time putting together the chart. They must have had a high confidence that their numbers were correct. Why they didn't push back right then and there or in the immediate aftermath is something I don't understand.